How's everyone today? Pretty good? Good. Morning, yeah. It's another hot day in Taichung. I feel like this summer has been interesting because I feel like there's more regular rain than normal. I don't know if it's normal, but it just seems like in the past it would rain during the Meiyu, the plum blossom rains, and then it would kind of stop. But here it's like almost every day we get some rain, which is fine. I'm not complaining. Although I think although the rain sometimes cools things down a little bit, I think it also makes it more humid, more more wet, because all that water evaporates into the air, and then it makes it lots of humid. I just used an interesting word, evaporate. Does everybody know what that means? What does evaporate mean? Yeah, if you have water and then it dries up, right? It disappears. It means the water turns into what? It turns into vapor. Okay, vapor is like how do I say? Yeah, like steam. But if we talk about a vapor, it means it could be, sometimes vapor gets used in other ways. Like it could be like almost like a scent or a smell, but basically it's like when water turns into kind of an air, goes into the air, it becomes a vapor. So sometimes we think about clouds, there's vapor. So yeah, so anyhow, when we say the water evaporated, it means it disappeared. And so after it rains, I was amazed yesterday. What time was it? Yesterday, it rained really hard, right? But then by the time I went out in the late afternoon, the roads were completely dry. So you can see how hot the sun is. So why don't we say it together? Vapor, vapor, evaporate, evaporate. And if you want to turn that into a means, it's evaporation, okay? Evaporation. Right. So someone says, if you dry your clothes in the hot sun, they will dry very quickly because the evaporation goes very quickly. So anyhow, that's how our weather has been recently. So I thought today, this is American Corner, and we have there's a connection with AIT. So I thought it would be good to start by announcing, there's a new AIT director who just arrived, although I know he's not a stranger to Taiwan. He's been here. I think this is his third assignment in Taiwan. But everyone always focuses on the new AIT director. And really, the AIT director, although it's not official, we don't officially use that name, he is an ambassador. Now, ambassador, of course, can be an official title, right? You can say, someone is an official ambassador, but the word ambassador can also simply mean a representative, right? A 代表人, right? So, for example, let's say you work for a company and your company sends you to another company to help them or work with them. You could say, I'm an ambassador from my company, right? I am representing my company. So ambassador doesn't have to be the, 很正式, the official formal title. It can simply mean you are a representative of something. So why don't we say that word together, ambassador. Ambassador. Right. Now, of course, with the official title, it would be 大使, right? But Taiwan, of course, we don't have too many official ambassadors. Okay, so anyhow, I'll read the headline. It says, U.S. envoy pledges help with self-defense. Now, there's another word right here that is also a good word. It's very similar. Is this word right here, envoy? Envoy also means representative, right? Now, when we say envoy, it generally has a little bit more of an official feeling to it. It's not an official title. I mean, I don't know anyone who's, well, maybe there's a few people have that as a title. But really, when we say envoy, I tend to think of countries. If you're an envoy for your country, it means you're a representative. So it has a slightly more official sound to it. Let's say it together, envoy. Envoy. Now, of course, with this word, I believe it's originally a French word. The en is not n or n, it's on, like on. So let's say it one more time, envoy. Okay, so U.S. envoy pledges help with self-defense. Okay, so pledge is, what's another word for pledge? Promise, yeah, to promise, to pledge, to, well, yeah. Well, yeah, but to swear here would be different. It would be a little bit more like, yeah, you swear that you did not do something, or you swear that you help. But yeah, I think for this use here, I would say promise or pledge would probably be the best word. Okay, so pledges help. Help, of course, here is a 名词. You could say he pledges to help, but here it's used as a noun, a 名词. So pledges help, pledges to give help with self-defense. Okay, now of course here, when we say self-defense, it could be for a country like it means here for Taiwan, but you could also talk about yourself personally, right? I think in Taiwan and the US, people sometimes like to take self-defense classes, right? A self-defense class is where you take a class, you learn how to protect yourself, right? I know I have friends who teach special self-defense classes specifically for women. They teach women how to defend themselves. And so they learn, I don't know, 空手道 or something like that, karate or something, I don't know, or just some class. So yeah, it's a good thing to have. Why don't we say it together? Self-defense. Self-defense. Okay, so here I'll keep reading. It says, key partner. The new AIT head said in Mandarin that peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait was a common and long-term interest of both Taipei and Washington. Okay, so Mandarin, of course, is, whatever you say, 华语, 中文, 国语, whatever you want to call it, Mandarin. And peace and stability, okay, I think you know those words, in the Taiwan Haisha is a common. Now, common, of course, a common interest or a long-term interest. When we say common here, what does it mean? Right, so it's shared, okay? If you say, he and I have many things in common, it means that we have many things that we are similar to or we share, okay? But the word common can also mean what? It has a different meaning. What is it? Ordinary, regular, 普遍的, right? You can say that's just a very common thing. People always do that, or that's very normal, right? Or there's nothing special about that. It's very ordinary, maybe ordinary is a good word to write down. But yeah, it's very, ordinary. Okay. Why don't we say it together? Ordinary. Ordinary. Common. Okay, so yeah, if you say, yeah, do you think that's really special, or is that really unique? And you say, no, that's not unique. That's really common here. Okay. Yeah, commonplace would be same thing, same idea. But here, of course, common has a different meaning. Here it means it's shared. It's similar. We both have this. So again, the expression, many things in common. Or you might say, we have nothing in common. Okay? Sometimes people say that. They say, why don't you get together with them? Why don't you hang out with them? You say, well, we really have nothing in common. It means we don't share anything. We're very different. Sure, sometimes people who have nothing in common, they might actually get along with each other. Or they might not get along with each other, right? Depends. Okay, so it's a common and it's a shared and long-term interest of Taiwan and America. Okay, so let's go on and read the article. It says, the U.S. would continue to help Taiwan bolster its ability to defend itself. American Institute in Taiwan director Raymond Green said in a meeting with President William Lai at the presidential office in Taipei yesterday. Okay, so we've talked about this word before, I know. What is that? What's this mean, or what's another similar word? Strengthen, right? To make stronger. If you want to bolster something, it means you want to increase the support of it, or you want to make it stronger, okay? So I don't know what they're doing over here, but maybe what if the wall was, was kind of weak, or the structure was weak? Maybe they were working to bolster something to make it stronger. But here, of course, it's bolstering Taiwan's ability to defend itself, or we could say it's bolstering Taiwan's self-defense. Okay, so bolster is a good word. Why don't we say together, bolster? Bolster. Okay. I think that's about it. So let's read this together. The U.S. would continue to help Taiwan bolster its ability to defend itself. American Institute in Taiwan Director Raymond Green said in a meeting with President William Lai at the presidential office in Taipei yesterday. Okay. So yeah, this is Raymond Green. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Raymond Green. That's his name. Okay, so it says here for I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure he has a Chinese name, but I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't even know what the previous director, Sandra Outkirk, I don't know what her Chinese name is. I know she has a Chinese name, but I never pay attention to that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, He Daoming. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. People always ask me, where'd you get that name from? I'm like, well, I was born in Taiwan, so my parents, I'm sure they had some help from their Taiwanese friends to pick this name. So anyhow, I'm happy. Probably, yeah, probably, yeah. And I'm sure their Taiwanese friends who helped them were Christian friends to help them pick that name. So, okay, so I'll read this. It says, Green assumed his new role as AIT director on Monday, serving as Washington's top envoy to Taiwan. Okay, let's keep going. First of all, and the most important thing, the U.S. will strongly support Taiwan's self-defense capabilities, Green said. Now, again, another word that has two different meanings. Assumed his role. Okay, now we know the word assume, right? We use that word a lot, right? If we say, I assume that you already know my name. I assume that you've already finished that job. It means, you know that word, right? To assume something. Okay, but here, what does this word mean? It has a different meaning. What does it mean? Huh? Well, yeah, to take or to take up a position, right? So you can say he assumed a new role. He assumed a new job. He assumed a new title, okay? Maybe before you were like the, I don't know, 副总经理, and now you're the 总经理. So you assume a role, a new title. You take on a title. So this word has a very different meaning to it than the other word, assume. So again, both same word but different meaning. Okay, let's say it together. Assumed. Okay, so he took on or took up his new role as AIT director. Again, here's this word. He's Washington's top envoy to Taiwan. Okay. Now down here, of course, we have a word that we've talked about several times, I think. Capabilities. Here you see inside this word, we have the word ability, right? Your 能力, right? What is your ability to do something? But a capability is also similar to that idea. Of course, ability tends to get used with individual, personal. He has he has the ability to play the trumpet, or she has the ability to drive a car. But capability is a little bit of a broader word. We often use this word for companies or countries or other things like that. Although you could say that you could use this word with a person too. You could say he has the capabilities or he is capable of doing something, right? So just like that, we have the word able, right? Able, A-B-L-E. I'm able to do something. Or you can say I'm capable of doing something, right? I'm capable. Are you capable of driving a car? Are you capable of baking a cake? Okay, so it means are you able to do something? Okay, so why don't we say it together? Able, capable, capable of, abilities, abilities, capabilities, capabilities. Yeah, so yeah, you could say he has many capabilities or he has many abilities. Yeah, similar words. Okay, so let's read this. Green assumed his new role as AIT director on Monday, serving as Washington's top envoy to Taiwan. Let's say that last part again. Top envoy to Taiwan. Okay. First of all, and the most important thing, the U.S. will strongly support Taiwan's self-defense capabilities. Let's say these three words again. Self-defense capabilities. Green said. Okay. And that's a photo caption. Okay, let's go on. It says, we both have common and long-term interests in peace and stability over the Taiwan Strait, he added. This support was in line with Washington's long-standing policy guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. Okay, these are all government policies or laws. Okay, now the support was in line with. When we say in line with, what does that mean? Well, no, not here doesn't mean the phone. It means that America's support for Taiwan is in keeping with, it's following. Maybe that's the best word, following. Okay, it's following Washington's long-standing policy. So, for example, you might say, well, are you allowed to do that? Maybe you want to take some action. And you say, yeah, sure. What I'm doing is in line with our company rules. Or what I'm doing is in line with the government law. Okay, it means it's following that. It's according to something. So when you say it's in line with something, it means it's following that. Okay. That's different. When you say to keep someone in line, it means to keep them under your control. Okay? And like you said, we use that a lot with kids, with children. If you have some children and they're 很顽皮 or 调皮, you say, oh, I have to keep them in line. You have to, well, yeah, you might discipline them, or you have to watch them and try to keep them in line. And we use the word keep in line, right? To keep someone in under control, or keep someone from doing something wrong. Okay, so this America's support for Taiwan self-defense was in line or following Washington's long-standing policy. Now, long-standing, you can see this 2 words. It means going on for a long time, in place for a long time. 长期, right? Long-term. I guess we could also say long-term, T-E-R-M, long-term policy, 政策, guided by, okay, this policy is guided by, it's following the Taiwan Relations Act. I think you know that, the Taiwan 关系法, and the 3 joint communiques. Now, a communique, this is a funny word. It's not a word we use that often, but it really means, it's almost like a statement, okay, an official statement. Sometimes a government will write out a policy or statement, and they'll, 发出去, they'll send it out, and we say it's a communique. Now, or it's almost like a message. It's almost like a message or a statement, a communique. And this word here, again, I think it has a French origin. We would pronounce this as a K. Communique, not a qui or qua. It's K. Okay, so why don't we say together, communique. Communique. Okay, and it's similar. Yeah, it's not. There are words we can use. A manifesto would also be like a manifesto is probably a little bit more like a declaration. Yeah, like America has the Declaration of Independence, right? It's a very famous. Actually, it's probably our most famous document to declare. To say, declare. A manifesto is kind of like a declaration. It's kind of like a statement, a very strong statement about something. Okay, so these are all words when we kind of announce things or we want to put something out there. So why don't we say these words too? Manifesto, manifesto, declaration, declaration. Okay, so actually we didn't have class last Thursday, right? But what was last Thursday? You should know this. Well, maybe you should know this. Yeah. It's called American Independence Day, right? July 4th. Okay. At first I thought we had class on July 4th, and I thought, oh, great, we'll talk about American Independence Day. But then I thought, oh, wait, it's next week. So anyhow, July 4th is American Independence Day, and that's the day we had the Declaration of Independence, where America said we're 独立, we're independent from Great Britain, from the UK. So anyhow, it's a good word. So here it says this policy is guided by this Taiwan Relations Act. I think you've all heard of that. The 3 joint communiques. These are joint statements by I believe Taiwan and U.S. and the 6 assurances. Now again, this is some sort of official statement. Now, to assure someone means what? This comes from the word ASSURE, right? Assure. It's kind of like to 保证, right? To assure someone. I assure you that I will finish this on time. I assure you that I won't forget your birthday. Okay? Means I promise you. So an assurance is almost like a promise. It's almost like I promise you. I will give you my assurance that you will do. So, when you think of the word insurance, right? 保险, right? You buy insurance. Insurance assures you that when you have an accident, hopefully, they will pay for your damages or pay for someone else's damages. So to assure someone is to give them your promise or your guarantee. Okay? So let's say that again. Assurances. Assurances. Right. And you can assure people about anything, right? Like I said, I assure you I won't forget your birthday. I assure you I'll finish that job. Okay. So, so let's go ahead and read these 2 paragraphs. Start at the top. We both have common and long-term interests. Long-term interests in peace and stability over the Taiwan Strait. He added, this support was in line with Washington's long-standing policy. Let's say it again. Long-standing policy guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. Assurances, he said. Okay. Yes. Congress, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're correct. I think it was it was an agreement by the two sides regarding Taiwan. I think because it's part of the official, it has been all three of these are part of, basically they dictate or control U.S. policy regarding Taiwan. So yeah, I mean, starting in 1979 with the Taiwan Relations Act, you have these various policies that come out and they become part of, or various statements that come out, and well, obviously the Taiwan Relations Act is a law, but these come out and these dictate or control, or they're like guidelines for U.S. policy towards Taiwan. So yeah, that's why he mentions all three of them. I believe the 6 assurances were, I need to research that, but I believe that was made during the Reagan administration, when Ronald Reagan was president, regarding Taiwan. But Taiwan Relations Act is a very interesting law, because it's a law of the United States, a law of Congress that governs, or we say governs, but it means it controls regarding Taiwan, the relationship with, well, as the name says, relationship with Taiwan. So you know, it's not like a option, right? You can't just say, oh, Swan, I don't want to follow. It's actually a law. And it's very unusual, to my understanding, it's very unusual for the Congress to pass a law about foreign relations, but that's what they did in the situation with Taiwan. So, yeah. Yeah, it's an actual law. So you have to follow, it has to be followed. Yeah. Right. And that's where I think it's good, because if there's a law, it means that it has to be followed. It's not like some new president or somebody can say, oh, I don't want to do that. It actually has to be followed. So. Mm-hmm. Sure, they hate it. You know, I mean, China would say this is our internal domestic matter, right? So you have no right to interfere. Of course, they say that a lot about lots of things. I don't even know if it was signed. I think it was a joint statement. So it was a statement but it wasn't like a document that they signed. I believe. I could be wrong. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so let's go on. It says, Green, who delivered his remarks in Mandarin, stressed the need to maintain peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, describing it as a common and long-term interest of Taipei and Washington, and as extremely important for global security and prosperity. Okay, this kind of repeats what we just read. But anyhow, here, this word Mandarin, I think you've seen that before, Mandarin. I think Mandarin also used to be used as a term for an official, like a guanyuan, for in old China, yeah, Qing Dynasty, in the Qing Chao. So we talk about a Mandarin would be kind of like a title for an official in the Qing Dynasty, in the Qing Chao. But here now today we use the word Mandarin. When people say he speaks Mandarin, it means that he speaks this, what some people call Beijing Hua, or whatever you want to call it. Actually, Beijing Hua is yeah. Yeah, so it's yeah, the Guanhua is like official language. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. So they had this. Right. So it's kind of a official language, a common. Right. 普通话. Yeah. So it's like a common language. Yeah. Why don't we say it together? Mandarin. Mandarin. Right. Okay. So let me see here. Oh, you know the word prosperity, right? Okay. Obviously, I think most people like the word, like prosperity. They want to be prosperous. So if you want to turn that into a 形容词, R-O-U-S. So prosperous, R-O-U-S. So if you say he is very prosperous, or he is a prosperous business person, or his family is very prosperous, okay? It's a 形容词, and prosperity becomes a noun, 名词, okay? We want to get prosperity, or we have prosperity. Why don't we say together, prosperity? Prosperity. And then as a 形容词, prosperous. Prosperous. Okay, so yeah. Okay, well, let's just read this real quick. I know it kind of repeats what we just read, but let's go through it one more time. Green, who delivered his remarks in Mandarin, stressed the need to maintain peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, describing it as a common and long-term interest of Taipei and Washington, and as extremely important for global security and prosperity. Okay, so here, of course, he stressed, he underlined, he stressed, he emphasized the need to maintain. Maintain, we could say to keep, right? To protect, to maintain peace and stability. So maintain, when you maintain something, you make sure it keeps going, right? If you have a machine and you want to make sure it keeps running, you have to maintain that machine, right? You have to keep it going, keep it running. So to keep it going, peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Okay. Okay, so let's go on here. It says, he also said he was confident that with the support of the global democratic community, we can safeguard Taiwan's democracy. Okay, this is a good word. I'm not sure if we talked about this before. What's another simple word for safeguard? Yeah, to protect. It means to protect something. So, if you safeguard something, it's protecting. You can see the word safe, of course, you know that word, and you can see the word guard, right? So you guard the safety of something, you protect it. Okay, so why don't we say together, safeguard. Safeguard. Okay, so here he says, with the support of the global 全球 democratic community. Of course, community is not like a 小社区, like a community out here, but it's like a global community. Sometimes we talk about the global village, the global community. Okay, so. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You mean to claim it? Yeah, the whole South China Sea. Yeah, I think China does a lot of crazy things, but I think it kind of depends on who's running the country, right? The problem I think right now that China has is that it's really not, it's under control of one person, right? And even up until recently, several years ago, China was under a more of a, a group of people. Of course, there's a leader or leaders, but there was really a group of men who were running the country. But now it's one person, and that's never a good thing, right? In history, it shows it's never good when just one person is running everything. And yeah, there's no checks and balances. I mean, think about this, and this is an interesting question. What happens when Xi Jinping dies? What happens? I mean, seriously, who's in charge? Who's going to take control? Does that mean there's going to be a fight between different people to take control? I mean, that leads to 乱, right? Whenever you have one person and then that person goes away, then you have 乱. Even if that person says, well, I want that guy to be the next leader, I think you could have chaos. So I think it's causing more trouble in the long run. So anyhow, okay, so let's just read this together. He also said he was confident that with the support of the global democratic community. Let's say it one more time. Global democratic community. We can safeguard Taiwan's democracy. Let's say it again. Safeguard Taiwan's democracy. Okay. So calling Taiwan a key partner in promoting trade and the global supply chain resilience, Green said he was looking forward to working with the Lai administration to advance bilateral economic, cultural, and technological cooperation. So Taiwan is a key partner in promoting, 宣传 or 推广 trade and the global supply chain resilience. And what's the word, if we take this and turn it into a T, resilient, what does that mean? Yeah, strong. Okay, so if something is resilient, it is strong. So just replace the CE here with a T. Resilient becomes a 形容词. But resilience is a 名词, right? So why don't we say that first part as a 形容词, resilient. Resilient. And then as a noun, 名词, resilience. Resilience. Okay, so of course, when we talk about the global supply chain, we want it to be strong, right? We could see during COVID-19, during 疫情, there was a lot of problems with the global supply chain. Sometimes it was resilient, but sometimes it was not because of all the problems with COVID-19. So obviously, we want to have a strong global supply chain. And I think especially when nowadays, today, everyone talks about technology, right? Semiconductors, AI, all that kind of stuff. It really relies on Taiwan. Taiwan is a very important part of that global supply chain. I think reliable is better. Reliable, usually means like 可靠, right? But resilient is more like, it has a broader idea. It's a bigger, broader idea. Usually we don't say, I guess we could, but we wouldn't normally say, oh, that machine is resilient. We could say that machine is resilient, but it's more like, I think even more common would be to talk about a person being resilient, right? They have a strength in that person. But yeah, so we can say strong or resilient. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it has, there's different ways of using that. Okay, so he wants to work with the Lai government to advance. Of course, advance here means to push forward, right? To advance or promote. Maybe that would be another word. To promote bilateral, two sides, bilateral, economic, cultural, and technological cooperation. Okay, so let's read this together. Calling Taiwan a key partner in promoting trade and the global supply chain resilience. Okay, let's say that again. Resilience. Green said he was looking forward to working with the Lai administration to advance bilateral economic, cultural, and technological cooperation. One more time, technological cooperation. Okay, so yeah, these are pretty standard things of. Okay, let's just jump forward a little bit because find out a little bit more about Raymond Green. Okay, it says here, Lai reiterated his pledge to maintain the status quo in the Taiwan Strait despite increasing challenges posed by China, and expressed the hope of working closely with the U.S. and other like-minded countries in support of the prosperity and development of the Indo-Pacific region. Okay, so what does this word, we've said this before, what does reiterate mean? To repeat, to say again. If someone says, are you sure you can do that? And you say, yeah, I want to reiterate to you that I can do that. Means I want to say this to you again, to repeat, okay? So why don't we say it together, reiterate. Reiterate. Right, and of course that can be turned into a 名词, reiteration, T-I-O-N, okay? Why don't we say that too, reiteration. Reiteration. Okay, so he reiterated his promise, his pledge to keep, okay, to maintain, there's that word again, to maintain the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. We've talked about this before. It's a very common expression. It's Latin, Latin. What does status quo mean? Yeah, it means the way things are right now, we will keep them the same. Now, of course, this is very important. Everyone says we need to keep status quo in the Taiwan Strait. It means that Taiwan doesn't change anything. China doesn't change anything. We keep everything the way it is today, okay? But this is a very common phrase, okay? Why don't we just say it together? Status quo. Status quo. Right. Now, of course, this could be used for other things as well, not just the Taiwan Strait. But when we say we just want to keep things the same. Okay, you could even use this in a personal way between two people or their relationship, to keep the status quo, to keep things the way they are. Okay, so it says, despite increasing challenges, growing challenges, okay, posed by or created by China, and Lai also expressed the hope of working closely with the U.S. and other like-minded countries. I think you understand what this means. Like-minded means what? We think the same way, right? You can say he and I are like-minded about this problem, right? We have the same idea, the same thinking about this problem or about the situation, about how we should do this, okay? So like-minded, it becomes a 形容词. We have the same way of thinking. We have the same, similar mind, okay? Why don't we say together, like-minded. Like-minded. Okay, so they have the same thinking. He wants to work closely with the U.S. and other similar countries with similar ideas in support of prosperity, there's that word, and development of the Indo-Pacific region, area. Okay, so let's read this together. Lai reiterated his pledge. Again, reiterated his pledge to maintain the status quo in the Taiwan Strait, despite increasing challenges posed by China, and expressed the hope of working closely with the U.S. and other like-minded countries in support of the prosperity and development of the Indo-Pacific region. Indo-Pacific region. Okay. It's funny how this has really become the common expression. I think, 10 years ago, we weren't using this expression as much, but I think it's because of the rise of India, right? That we've taken India or the Indian Ocean and we've kind of combined it with the Pacific Ocean. So now we say Indo-Pacific. People in the past used to say the Pacific or Asia Pacific, I know a long time ago you used to hear the expression Far East, 远东, right? Far Eastern area, so there's all these different expressions but today this seems to be the most common one, Indo-Pacific. Yeah, well, yeah, they are kind of, you've got the Pacific, and then you've got India down here, and yeah, so I'm sure China sees it that way. They think, oh, we're surrounded by this Indo-Pacific region. So, yeah. Okay. So here it says a little bit about Green, who he is. It says, as a career diplomat, Green has previously been posted to Taiwan twice, including serving as Deputy AIT Director from 2018 to 2021. Let's keep reading. It says, before arriving in Taiwan to take charge of the AIT, which represents U.S. interests in Taiwan in the absence of official diplomatic ties, Green was Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy in Japan. Okay, so he has a lot of experience working in this part of Asia. Okay, so he's a career diplomat. Okay, you know what a diplomat is, right? Someone who's involved with 外交, right? So career means that's his job, that's his career. Now it's very interesting because I think you know this. I think the same is also sometimes true in Taiwan. Ambassadors are not always career diplomats, right? I know whenever, sometimes after a U.S. presidential election, the ambassadors will get that title, that job will be given to people who support the new or the president, right? Sometimes his friends or his political allies, they will give those positions to those people. To what? Yeah, it's like yeah. But I think it's very important that you have, under the ambassador, you have these career diplomats that kind of know how everything works. They've been doing this for, their whole career. So they're kind of like the foundation of the U.S., diplomatic effort. And of course, they all come from the State Department, the 外交部. Okay, so why don't we say it together? Career diplomat. Career diplomat. Now, of course, career is normally a noun, means, but here it becomes a 形容词. You can say he is a career businessman, a career teacher, whatever it means. That's what you do for your career. Okay, so Green has previously been posted. He's been based. He's been stationed in Taiwan twice, including he was the deputy director. So he was like the second person in this number two in AIT from 2018 to 2021. And then before he arrived at the AIT, because it's the American Institute in Taiwan, which represents U.S. interests in Taiwan in the absence of official diplomatic ties. So, of course, in 1979, the U.S. and Taiwan 断交, we broke diplomatic ties. So in the absence of, because there's no official diplomatic ties, AIT is in charge of or represents U.S. interests. Green was Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy in Japan. So that's also a very high-level position at the American 大使馆 in Japan. So, yeah. Okay, but I read somewhere, I think yesterday, that this is actually his third posting to Taiwan. I think even earlier, perhaps, he had another posting in Taiwan, probably at AIT. Okay, so let's read this last two paragraphs, and then we can go to a different article. As a career diplomat, again, career diplomat, Green has previously been posted to Taiwan twice, including serving as Deputy AIT Director from 2018 to 2021. Before arriving in Taiwan to take charge of the AIT, which represents U.S. interests in Taiwan in the absence of official diplomatic ties, official diplomatic ties, let's say this part again. Official diplomatic ties. Green was deputy chief of the mission, of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Japan. Okay, so this word, why don't we say together, embassy, means 大使馆, right? Embassy. Okay, so I just realized up here, it does say actually, it says he has previously been posted to Taiwan twice. So I guess that totals 3 times, right? There's this time and previously 2 times. So that means 3 times. Deputy, of course, is another way of saying vice, right? Vice director, vice president, although usually they're used very specifically. In Taiwan, of course, in America, we don't say deputy president, we say vice president. But in AIT, they say deputy director. That's a title they use. Okay, any questions about this one before we go on to a different one? Anything? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm glad, we have somebody who understands Taiwan. He's worked here for many years. So he knows this country. There's a picture of him. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you mean, nuclear power? The U.S. doesn't, I don't think the U.S. has any official policy towards Taiwan. I mean, that's an internal domestic issue for Taiwanese to discuss, right? So I don't think the U.S. really says, oh, Taiwan should or should not. I think the U.S. probably they are concerned that Taiwan has enough energy, right? That's important for Taiwan's needs, and it's important for foreign investors in Taiwan. It's always a big concern. And recently, of course, with all these new AI data centers coming to Taiwan and wanting to set up here, they use a lot of energy. I mean, a ton of energy. And so I think I heard that Taijidian alone uses like 12% of Taiwan's energy. I mean, that's a very high percentage. So I think if the U.S. was looking at Taiwan, their main concern is that for investment, Taiwan should ensure that they have enough energy, And it's a tough situation. I know a lot of people who are very anti-nuclear, and they think that Taiwan is a small island, and of course, they think about what happened in Japan. But I do think that perhaps there's some, around the world, what I've been noticing is that other countries, even like Korea and other countries, Germany, they're investing more and more in nuclear energy because they feel like they have to, right? There is a need for energy, and I think there's some new nuclear energy technology that is much safer than the old energy technology. The newest nuclear power plants, I think they've designed them so that even in a disaster, they can contain themselves and they're safe. So I do think that it's a very, very controversial issue. And of course, in Taiwan, you have people on both sides. Some people agree, some people really are opposed to it. But it is something that Taiwan needs to think about, right? Because Taiwan needs energy. If you don't have enough energy, you have a problem. So it's one way or the other, Taiwan has to deal with this problem, or challenge, I should say. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go on. I thought it's funny, I read about this story months ago, and then it seems to be suddenly getting more and more attention. So I thought it's not a huge story, but I thought it was kind of interesting. This story is about the Philippines, or comes from the Philippines. Now, it's interesting because Taiwan has been dealing with China for many years. and pressure from China. But it seems like now, because of one of you mentioned earlier, the South China Sea, right? Because of the South China Sea and many and other issues, suddenly the Philippines is really having to deal with China or confront China in many different ways. And I think it's kind of woken lots of Filipinos up to this issue. So here it says, and this is a very interesting story because it's kind of like the idea that have the Chinese been able to come in and take control of certain things inside the Philippines without people noticing before, okay? So, and I read about this mayor a few months ago, and I thought it was very interesting. So here it says, Philippine Senate seeks mayor's arrest, okay? They want to arrest her. They want to, yeah. It says, Chinese asset. The Senate cited Bamban Mayor Alice Guo in contempt after a police raid revealed a scam center operating at a facility on land she partially owned, okay? So, Philippine Senate is like the 美国, 大事, the 大会, or like the Taiwan 立法院, they call it the Senate. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe that Philippines has one house, but they might have two, I'm not sure. But anyhow, Philippine Senate seeks mayor's arrest. Now, when we say an asset, what does this word mean? Yeah, an asset could be something that belongs to you. It's something you hold, right? So if someone says, what are your total assets worth? What would you look at? Well, you'd look at how much money do you have? How much cash do you have? Or how much money do you have in the bank? But you might also look at do you own a house, right? How much is your house worth? Do you have a car? How much is a car worth? All those things are your assets. They belong to you, okay? Now, if we say someone is a Chinese asset, it means that they are working for the Chinese government, okay? It doesn't mean that they're owned by the Chinese, but in a way it does. It means that they're actually working for the Chinese government, okay? So why don't we say together, asset. Asset. Now, asset can also be kind of like a 好处, or 优惠. It means he has many assets, okay, at work. Like you could say, well, he's very talented, he's a good writer, he's a good speaker. Those are also assets. Those are things that you hold that are valuable, okay? So that word asset can be used in other ways too. So the Senate mentioned Banban Mayor Alice Guo in contempt, okay? Now, this word contempt is a very interesting word. I don't know if we've talked about it. What does contempt mean? Yeah, if you have contempt for somebody, what does that mean? It means that you don't like them. You consider them very low, okay? You don't respect them, okay? So contempt is actually a very, very negative, 否定的 word, right? If someone treats you in a very contemptible or shows contempt towards you, it means they don't like you, they don't respect you, they consider you much lower than them, okay? So contempt is not a good word. And that word can be, this is a 名词, but it can be turned into a 形容词 or a 副词. You can use that word in many different ways. So why don't we say together, contempt. Contempt. But here, it actually gets used in a slightly different way. So if you are in contempt of the court, of a 法院, or the judge, 法官, what does that mean? Do you know? Yeah. If you don't respect the court, they can fine you in contempt, and then you can actually be fined, or you can be sent to jail. Basically, let's say you go to the judge, you go to the court, and the judge asks you some questions, and you don't answer. You say, no, I'm not going to answer you, or I'm not going to cooperate. 合作. They can fine you in contempt, and then you might have a problem. They might have to pay money, or you might even go to jail. So it's a legal term. I don't know how you say this in Chinese. I don't know if there's a. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's a very common way of expression. Okay, so why don't we say it again? In contempt. And we use that word in contempt of the court or in contempt of the judge. this term gets used in America and many other places. So they found her, they cited her. Often we say found her, but here it says cited her in contempt after a police raid revealed a scam center. What is a scam? Yeah, it's like what in Taiwan they have the, what is it? 诈骗, what is the, yeah, yeah. A scam is where you cheat somebody. 骗人, right? Okay. So if someone calls you on the phone and says, how would you like to invest money in my company? We have lots of, you can make a big profit. Maybe they are trying to scam you. Now, scam can be a 动词 or it can be a 名词. To scam someone means to cheat them. But you can also say that is a scam. Okay? So we use this term in a very wide sense sometimes. Like sometimes maybe you're shopping with your friends and you go to a store and you see something that's on sale and it looks really cheap. And you're like, wow, that looks really like a great bargain, a great cheap. And your friends, don't buy that. That's a scam. It means that maybe it's not worth it, or maybe it's not very good. It's not a good deal. It looks like a good deal, but it's not a good deal. So they might say, oh, that's just a scam. Okay, so why don't we say together, scam, scam. So this was a scam center operating at a facility on land that she partially owns. So that's not too good, especially if you're the mayor. Okay, so I'll read this. It says, the Philippine Senate yesterday threatened to arrest a mayor for contempt during a hearing investigating her alleged ties to Chinese criminal syndicates. Okay, now this is a word I know we've never talked about. A syndicate, what would be a simple word for syndicate? Group, or I would say organization. Like an organization, a syndicate. Now, when we say, often we talk about a syndicate, it could be, here they use a criminal syndicate. It's a criminal organization, like when we talk about the Hei Shou Dao or whatever, the mafia, or the so we call that a criminal. It's like an organized crime group. Okay, so why don't we say together, criminal syndicates? Criminal syndicates. The one other place I see this word used, here it says criminal syndicates. I sometimes see this word used with business. They talk about a business syndicate. It's like, what? Yeah, cartel, but cartel is often used with crime as well. But a syndicate could also be a business organization. But it's funny how when you mention cartel and syndicate, these words often get used for crime, criminal, for like, he used the word cartel. And I tell you where this word gets used the most is with drug. We talk about drug cartels. Like if you go to Nanmeizhou, there's a lot of these drug organizations. They sell 毒品, right? And we call it's like a drug selling organization. We call it a drug cartel. I know this is a big problem also in Mexico and South America. Okay, so why don't we say the word together? Yeah, mafia is a general term. I mean, it's a specific term. M-A-F-I-A. But it also can be used as a specific organization. And of course, the mafia originally came from Italy, specifically, I think Sicily, right? But sometimes we use the word as a general term to describe organized crime or a criminal syndicate. Okay, so we could say Taiwan's mafia. Okay, now that of course in Taiwan they didn't come from Italy or Sicily, right? But there we say it's more of a general word, a general term. Okay, there is a term in Taiwan and in China, in Taiwan and Hong Kong that gets used instead of mafia, and it's a specific to. It's called a triad. Triad. This is a Chinese, originally from China. It's like the mafia, like Chinese mafia. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So why don't we say together, mafia, mafia, triad, triad. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's another one. Yeah. Yakuza is the Japanese one. Yeah. I'll tell you a little tiny story. When I was a sophomore, or I guess sophomore would be like, for Taiwan it'd be like Gao Yi, but in America it's Gao Er, right? Because I think America is 4 years of high school. I had a new classmate who came to Taiwan from Hong Kong, and he was American classmate, but he lived in Hong Kong for a long time, and he came and he was a bit of a troublemaker, but he was a great basketball player. But I still remember he was at school for, one semester, and in the second, I think it was the second semester, but one day he suddenly just disappeared. He wasn't there anymore. And we were like, what's going on? And they said that, I found out later on that in Hong Kong, he's just a kid, right? But he had been, somehow or another, someone said that he had been stealing money from the triads. So the police found out about it, and they told his father, they said, you need to send him back to America. He needs to leave Taiwan and get out of Hong Kong because he's in trouble. If you don't protect him, he'll be killed, right? So overnight, his father just said, pack your bags, you're going to America. And that was it, he left. But I was thinking, what kind of stupid guy would steal money from the triads? That's just dumb. Okay, so anyhow, but yeah, fortunately, I think he's okay now. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this then. The Philippine Senate yesterday threatened to arrest a mayor for contempt during a hearing investigating her alleged ties to Chinese criminal syndicates. Let's say it again, Chinese criminal syndicates. Okay, now of course, actually I want to mention something here. We say alleged ties. Now I think the word allege. It means it's not proven, it's claimed, right? But some people say alleged, like I just said, but you can also say alleged. Some people say alleged ties, alleged. Either way is okay, alleged ties or alleged ties, okay? So they claim or they think she might have connections or relationships to the Chinese organized crime, okay? So it says here, the arrest threat came after Bamban Mayor Alice Guo failed to appear for a second consecutive hearing, citing stress. Okay, let's keep reading. The case that began in March when authorities raided a casino in Guo's farming town of Bamban has shed light on criminal activity in the mostly Chinese-backed online casino industry in the Philippines. Now, I know this is a big industry in the Philippines, because online casinos are really, really big in the Philippines. You know what a casino is, right? And so this is an online casino. It's not a building, but it's online. So it's mostly Chinese-backed online casino industry. So in March, the authorities raided this casino in her farming town that she's the mayor of, has shed light on criminal activity. Now, this is a very common expression, shed light on. What does that mean, to shed light on something? Yeah, it's simply another way of saying to reveal, or we could say to uncover, perhaps. Okay, so if you shed light on something, it means, you could say his report shed light on the situation at our company, or this investigation shed light on what has been happening for the last year. It means it revealed, it uncovered, it shows. Okay, yeah. So it's like to put light on something. Okay, so why don't we say together, shed light on, shed light on, reveal, reveal, uncover, uncover. So this raid, we could say it has revealed criminal activity or has uncovered criminal activity in the mostly Chinese-backed online industry, casino industry. Okay, so that's a good expression. Okay, so it says here, she failed to appear for the consecutive hearing. This is a hearing of their Congress, of their Senate. What does consecutive mean again? We've talked about this word. It means in a row, okay? So if you say my team has lost 2 consecutive games, it means we lost this game and then we lost the next game, right? It means in a row, 2 games in a row. Or we could say 3 consecutive games, 3 games in a row, okay? So for 2 times in a row, she has not showed up. They've called her to appear and she hasn't come. Why? Because she claims, or she cited means she claimed stress. She said, oh, I'm under stress. Yeah, I'm under pressure, so I don't want to come. Okay, so that's her 借口, her excuse, right? For not showing up, for not appearing. Okay, so let's read this. The arrest threat came after Bon Mayor Alice Guo failed to appear for a second consecutive hearing. Okay, let's say this part again. Second consecutive hearing. Citing stress. The case that began in March, when authorities raided a casino in Guo's farming town of Bamban, has shed light on criminal activity in the mostly Chinese-backed online casino industry in the Philippines. Okay. That's a photo caption. Okay, it says here, it gained national attention after one senator asked whether Guo might not have been born in the Philippines and could even be a Chinese asset, an accusation she denied. Okay, so it's very interesting because I was reading this article. They don't really know where she came from. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting situation. Okay, it says it gained national attention. It means that it became a national, all over the country, people started to focus on this. They started to look at it. Okay, so often we say something gains national attention. Okay, now that could be a good thing, right? It could be something that makes you famous or well known. You could say he gained national attention after he did something. Like, remember last time we talked about that in Taichung on the Jieyun, there was that long-haired guy that attacked, that saved, the guy, he gained national attention. He was a normal guy, and he gained national attention after he fought off that other guy on the Taichung Jieyun, right? So we can say someone gains national attention, okay? Of course, right now we have the Olympics, 奥运 coming up very soon. I'm sure there are some people that no one knows right now, but they might gain national attention if they win a medal, right? They get a medal. I noticed that there are some Taiwanese Olympians from last time who are now on TV a lot, on 电视广告, right? TV advertisements, because they gain national attention. Okay, so let's read this together. It gained national attention after one senator asked whether Guo might not have been born in the Philippines and could even be a Chinese asset. An accusation she denied. Okay, I want to add something here. when we talk like this, when we say someone is a Chinese asset, or we could say, I don't know, Thai, anything, American asset, when we use that word, it usually refers to one thing. What? A spy. Yeah. So when we say someone's an asset, often we say it means that we think they're a spy. Okay. So yeah, it's a very common word for that. Okay. Okay, she has also denied links to criminals, saying she is a natural-born Filipino citizen. Guo did not respond to a request for comment, but wrote to the Senate that she was the subject of malicious accusations. Okay, I think we've talked about this word before, but what does malicious mean? If someone does something in a malicious way, or someone is a malicious person, what does that mean? Yeah, it means you are trying to harm somebody. Okay? If you do something maliciously, like a food, so we add an ly, maliciously, or it means that we are doing something to hurt somebody or to harm somebody. Okay? So malicious is it's a good word to know. We can talk about people with malicious speech, right? The way they talk is trying to harm somebody. Okay? So, right. Okay, so let's say it together. Malicious. Malicious. And then as a futsa, maliciously. Maliciously. Right. So she says that these accusations against her are malicious. They're just trying to harm her, but I guess what she means is that they're not really true. Okay? So she is the subject of malicious accusations. Yeah. You say fighting words. Yeah. Provocative, yeah. Is what? You're saying, is it a crime? I think it is. I mean, if you use provocative language, yeah, it's protected by free speech. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I mean, the whole point is if you use provocative speech or malicious speech for somebody and they attack you, they're the ones that are in trouble, right? Because they physically attacked you. But if you speak out again, now, actually, let me clarify that. If you make a public accusation against someone that is not true and it damages their reputation, then it's a crime. Then and we have a word for that. There's a good, I learned this word because I'm a libel. Okay, so sometimes we say libel, or we say that is libelous. Okay, as a 形容词. Libel is a crime. Libel is when you say something. If I got up today and I said that guy he likes to steal money from his company, but it's not true, then he can sue me, 告 me for libeling him because I said something about him. Actually, wait a minute. Sorry. I just made a mistake. Sorry. This is written. Okay. I should know this. This is written. So when you say something about someone, it's a different word. Yeah. Sorry. I should know this because I studied journalism, right? In journalism, we study this. Okay. Slander. So slander is spoken and libel is written. Okay? So if I write an article and I say that guy steals money from his company, he can sue me for libel. But if I get up in front of you all and I say that guy steals money from his company, he can sue me for slander because I said it. So it's the same kind of crime or problem, but one is written and one is spoken. Yeah. So yeah, does everybody understand the difference here? Okay. So yeah, because I studied, 新闻系, we had to learn this because it's very important. You can't write things or say things about people. So why don't we say together slander, slander, libel, libel. And these can be both 名词 or 动词. You can say, he slandered me, or he libeled me. Okay? Now, of course, when it becomes a 形容词, we say it is slanderous speech or libelous article. Okay? So one more time, slander, slanderous, libel, libelous. Yeah. So basically, and I tell you, the one thing that's very important, if this goes to the 法院, the court, this is also very important. Is it malicious? Are you intentional? Are you trying to hurt that person on purpose? Now, if a reporter, let's say a 记者 says, I'm really sorry, this was a mistake, 错误, right? And it was not malicious. Then maybe the court will say, okay, it wasn't a mistake. You apologize. Said, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. It wasn't, I was not trying to hurt you. It was just a mistake. It was not malicious. Okay. That's also important. The court usually will consider that. Okay. So anyhow, these are good words to know. So one more time, let's say the word malicious. Okay. So she says this is a malicious accusation. Okay. What? A malicious? No. What? Yeah, maybe benign, I guess. Benevolent, yeah. If you're trying to help somebody, yeah, benevolent, benign. These are like you're trying to help somebody, you don't want to harm them, okay? So yeah, benevolent often, this is a very broad word. Benevolent often, if you talk about a benevolent person, it's someone who likes to help other people, okay? Like you say, oh, he's very benevolent. It's like almost like saying someone's very generous, okay? Benevolent. Okay, so why don't we say together, benevolent. But benevolent. And then this word, benign. Benign. I think benign, B-E-N-I-G-N. B-E-N-I-G-N. Benign means not harmful. It's not harmful. So if someone says, is he trying to hurt me? You say, oh, no. His actions are very benign. It means they're not trying to harm me or damage me. I'll tell you where this word gets used also a lot is 癌症, cancer. So if you have a tumor, the doctor will take it and they'll test it. And if we say, oh, the cancer is benign, it means it's not spreading. It's not going to harm you or kill you. It's a benign. Yeah, so the other word, which is interesting because it sounds a little bit like this, is malignant. M-A-L-I-G-N-A-N-T. Malignant. Malignant means it's harmful, it's damaging, it's spreading, okay? And this word gets used with cancer, 癌症 a lot. Malignant tumor, malignant cancer. But it can also be used in a broader way. Someone is acting in a very malignant way. Means it's like malicious, right? They're trying to harm you, damage you, So anyhow, why don't we say that word too? Malignant. Malignant. Yeah. So these are all good words to know. Okay. And of course, here she says she is a natural-born Filipino citizen. Natural-born means you were born naturally. It's not like you immigrated to the Philippines and became a Filipino citizen. You were a natural-born citizen. So, it's very interesting. This gets debated sometimes. In the United States, by law, if you want to become the president of the United States, you have to be a natural-born citizen. Means you have to be born a U.S. citizen. You can't be someone who immigrated to the United States. You have to be a natural-born citizen, born as a U.S. citizen, which is occasionally, not always, but occasionally somebody will say, they'll claim that somebody was not a natural-born citizen. Actually, that was a controversy, not a big controversy, but it was a small controversy with Barack Obama. Some people claim that he was not a natural-born U.S. citizen. Now, it was proven he was, but some people claimed that he was not a natural-born U.S. citizen. Okay, so anyhow, this is one of those things. He could never be president because he's not a natural-born citizen. Now, some people think that's not good, or some people think that's good. I don't know. Maybe some people want Arnold Schwarzenegger to be president, but he was California governor, right? So you can be a governor even if you're not a natural-born citizen, okay? So let's read this together. She has also denied links to criminals, saying she is a natural-born Filipino citizen. Let's say that part again. Natural-born Filipino citizen. Okay. Guo did not respond to a request for comment, but wrote to the Senate that she was the subject of malicious accusations. Okay. There is this, I just want to add, this word, this expression, natural born, sometimes gets used as a different expression. If you say someone is really, they were born that way, they were good at something, you can say he was a natural born piano player. Yeah, well, I've seen this word too, natural born killer, right? Someone's really good at, someone who's like a real killer. They say, actually, I've heard that expression, a natural born killer means they're born that way to kill. I mean, but you could say they're a natural born athlete, right? Or a basketball player means they're born with this natural talent for doing something. Yeah. So that, I forgot to mention, that word natural born gets used with someone who has that deep talent that for something, a natural talent for something. Okay. Okay. Let's go on. So it says here, the Senate yesterday cited Guo in contempt for failing to appear, and Philippine Senator Riza Hontiveros, who is leading the investigation, said she would set in motion steps to get a warrant for her arrest. Now, this is a good word. What is a warrant? Or sometimes we say arrest warrant. What is that? It's a document from the court. A warrant almost always comes from the court. I guess sometimes it comes from the police, but usually a court. It's like it gives you permission to do something. So arrest warrants are very common, but there's another kind of warrant that's very common too. It's called a what? Does anyone know? Well, there's that. Yeah, I guess so. But the one I'm thinking about is a search warrant. So if the police want to come and search your office or your home, they need to have a search warrant from the court. They can't just sweep in, come in and search your house, right? They need to have a document that says you have permission to do that, okay? So why don't we say this together? Warrant. Warrant. Now, I want to say this word gets used in other ways. I think it's kind of interesting. Let me just type those for you. If we say something is warranted, or we say it is unwarranted, okay, sorry, unwarranted. It means, if something is warranted, it means it's like saying it's justified. Or we could say unjustified. It means there's cause for something, doing something. If someone is acting in a certain way, let's say that you notice your friend is very angry, in a very bad mood, and you say, why is he such a bad mood? You say, oh, well, his anger is warranted. It means there's a good cause, there's a good reason for that. But if someone does something and there's no reason for it, then you say, well, that's really unwarranted. Why did you do that? There's no good reason for it, okay? It's unjustified. There's no real reason. Sometimes someone gets really angry, they do something crazy, and you're like, why? It's unjustified, it's unwarranted. So that word warrant leads to this kind of word too, unwarranted or we could say warranted or justified. Does everybody understand that? Okay, so this word gets used in very normal everyday life, not just for the courts, okay? So why don't we say it together, warranted, warranted, unwarranted, unwarranted, justified, justified, unjustified, Unjustified. So, sometimes we use the word excuse, right? What's your excuse? Another word for an excuse is a justification. Okay? He justified his actions, or he gave a justification. So we can also say to justify your behavior. It means you give an excuse or reason for your behavior. How do you justify what you just did? Oh, well, I have, this and this and this. You gave an excuse. If you say, how do you justify that? It means, what's your excuse? Why did you do that? Okay? Right. So if someone says, "Oh, they're crazy," they're 疯了, they have a problem. That's maybe the court might say, "Oh, okay, that's a good justification for committing that crime." Now, of course, many people would not agree with that. But why don't we say together, justification. Justification. To justify. To justify. Right. So sometimes we are asked to justify our actions, or justify our behavior, or justify our attitude. Why do you feel that way? Okay. So these are all good words for that. But going back to this, they're trying to get a warrant for her arrest, or we can simply say an arrest warrant. Okay. So let's read this here. The Senate yesterday cited Guo in contempt. In contempt. For failing to appear. And Philippine Senator Riza Hontiveros, who is leading the investigation, said she would set in motion steps to get a warrant for her arrest. Okay, I forgot to mention, when we say to set in motion, it means we're going to start something. We're going to start a process. If you say, okay, he has a good plan, has that plan been set in motion yet? It means, have we started actually doing something? There's a word that comes to my mind. If you say to set something in motion, we say to implement, right? Or to put into action. Okay? Put in action, or put into action, or to implement, to set in motion. These are all ideas of where you start doing something. You're not just talking about it. You're not just planning it, but you're actually doing something. Okay? So those are all good ways of saying. Why don't we say together, set in motion. And then this word over here, to implement. Implement. Put into action. Okay. Carry out. Yeah, that would be another simple way of saying it. To carry out, to do. That's actually very close. We call that a warranty. Yeah, that's actually a good point. When you buy a new product, let's say you buy a new refrigerator or a new car, you always get a warranty. A warranty is almost like a guarantee that they will fix that thing, or they guarantee the quality. So often when you buy a car, they'll say, well, how long is the warranty? And someone will say, oh, that car has a 3-year warranty. Okay? For 3 years, if that car is broken, they will fix it free of charge. It's a warranty. So that's actually, that's a good point. This adds a Y. It's a 名词. Okay, so why don't we say together, warranty. Warranty. Right. So yeah, it's a good thing. I was reading an article just recently about from the U.S. and they were telling you, if the police stop you, like you're driving your car, they're saying, what are things, when the police ask you to do certain things, what are things that you do not have to do, right? So if the police say, I want to search your car, you don't have to let them search your car. I think there's only one reason if there's something in visible plain sight. Like if they look in your car and they see a gun sitting on the seat, they can search your car. But if they can't see anything, they have no right to search your car unless they have a warrant to search your car, you know? So yeah, it's kind of funny because they gave you all these reasons. I forget what else they said. Like, I don't know, maybe if there's certain questions you can answer, but you don't have to. There's some questions you should answer, but other questions you don't have to answer, right? Like, where are you coming from? You know, that doesn't matter to them, right? Why should you have to answer that? Yeah, I don't know about Taiwan. Same situation, yeah. So people have certain rights, you know, 权利. What? Visible. Like if you see something, if you see some drugs, doping there, then you can search the car. But yeah, yeah. There's a very interesting TV show in the United States called COPS. I don't know if you've ever seen this show, you know, COPS. And it's real reality TV. It's real. And they just follow policemen around and when they arrest people or deal with things. Whenever I watch that show, I think, oh, I'm so happy I'm not a policeman. It's so much trouble, right? They run into so much problems. Yeah, they have Taiwanese police also have body cam, right? Oh, really? Yeah, in America, you always see this body. We call it's like a camera on your body, right? And I have to be honest, sometimes when I watch these American body cam videos on TV, on YouTube, I think, if I was that policeman, I would just punch that person, you know. I'd be so angry because, you know, the people, you know, they get really aggressive and really rude and really impolite to police officers. And you're just like, oh, you know. So anyhow, I'm glad it's good I'm not a policeman. So, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, we've almost out of time, but let's look at a little one or two more. It says here, the chair has ruled to cite them in contempt, said Hontiveros, who told a previous hearing that Guo might have actually been born in China and be a Chinese asset. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next paragraph. It says the investigation began after a police raid revealed a scam center operating out of a facility built on land partially owned by Guo. It was one of many that have sprung up across Southeast Asia in the past few years. So I guess online gambling is very, very popular because there are these centers all over the place. Okay? So let's read this together. The investigation began after a police raid revealed a scam center operating out of a facility built on land partially owned by Guo. It was one of many that have sprung up across Southeast Asia in the past few years. Right. When we say something sprung up or something sprang up, it means it suddenly appeared, right? Like I think of mushrooms, you know, when it rains and you see mushrooms will suddenly spring up, they'll appear. So here it says these scam centers, or rather these online, I guess, scam centers, but also online casinos have been springing up. Okay. Okay, one more paragraph and then we'll be done. It says here, the raid uncovered hundreds of trafficked workers, including foreign nationals, spurring a human trafficking complaint against Guo from an agency battling organized crime. So this isn't just a small thing. Hundreds of trafficked workers. Now, when we say a trafficked worker, what does that mean? Yeah, it means that, you know, traffic, we think about, you know, transportation. But someone who's been trafficked, it means these workers are illegally being transported or transferred from one place to another. Sometimes I think against their own will, right? They don't want to be there. Yeah, smuggled, or sometimes we could even see they're almost like kidnapped, right? They're now, I think sometimes they're there because they want to make money illegally, but sometimes they're moved illegally or against their will. So then they're like kidnapped. So we call that in the criminal, when we talk about this as a crime, we call this human trafficking, right? Human trafficking. This is a very serious problem today around the world. So anyhow, why don't we say together, trafficked workers. Trafficked workers. Right, so here traffic becomes a 形容词. Why don't we say the other word too? Human trafficking. Human trafficking. Okay, so this included foreigners, 外国人, and this spurred, now when we say spurred a human trafficking complaint, okay, spurring here means what? Causing, triggering, okay? When you spur something, it means you cause it, you make it happen. So we say spurring. Remember what a spur is? Remember I told you this. What is a spur? Where does it come from? When you ride a horse, on the back of your boots, there's a metal thing, and you push that against the horse, and the horse will go, okay? Those are called spurs, okay? So, cowboys, 牛仔, they will wear these spurs on their boots. And we call that so when you make something go, you spur it, you make it move forward, okay? Yeah, the horse is probably not happy. But I don't think they're too sharp. I don't think it doesn't wound the horse. But it's sharp enough that the horse can feel it, right? And the horse knows he should go forward. So, okay, so why don't we say together, spurring. Spurring. Okay. Okay, so let's read this. The raid uncovered hundreds of trafficked workers. Trafficked workers, including foreign nationals, spurring a human trafficking complaint against school from an agency battling organized crime. Okay. Okay, that's all we have time for. So we'll see you next time. Stay cool and drink enough water.
各位读者，大家离开之前呢，